Surface mount parts are tiny, but you do not need a reflow oven for every repair. Start with flux, a clean tip, and tweezers. First, tack one side of the component so it stays aligned before you solder the opposite side. Once one side is fixed, release the tweezers and solder the other side. If your hand shakes, place a small piece of modeling clay beside the part. It acts as a temporary third hand and keeps the component from moving. Zoom in and inspect the pads. One component is aligned, another is slightly off-center. It may still work, but a marginal position can become a failure later. Reposition parts while the flux is still easy to clean. Solder paste combines solder and flux in one thick material. Dab a little on each pad, place the LED, and heat it. The paste can hold larger parts in place, but tiny parts may stick to the iron tip. For the remaining pads, add a small amount of flux and regular solder. No clean liquid flux leaves little residue, but any visible buildup should still be cleaned. Good placement matters more than adding extra solder. When tweezers are hard to control, a simple thread jig can hold the board and the component. Tie one end to a screw, loop the other end, slide the part underneath, then tighten the thread before soldering. Use the lightest pressure that keeps the part still. Clean the residue, check every pad, and remember, precision starts before the iron touches the board. Soldering is controlled heating. Every method warms the pad and the component, so work patiently. The goal is to remove solder without lifting copper or pulling apart before the joint is fully molten. Solder wick is braided copper wire. Lay it over the joint, add a little flux, and heat from above. As the solder melts, flux helps it flow into the braid. Lift the wick and the solder leaves with it. Desoldering pump works differently. Heat the joint, charge the spring-loaded plunger, then place the heat-resistant nozzle beside the molten solder. Press the release and let the pump pull the solder away. It may take more than one attempt. You can pump remove most of the solder, but not always all of it. If a lead is still stuck, heat it from the back and gently push it free. Never force the component while the solder is solid. When two leads are close together, adding solder can be faster than removing it. Bridge the pins with fresh solder, melt them at the same time, and lift the part gently. Then clear the remaining solder from each hole. Lifted copper pad usually means too much heat, too much time, or pulling too early. If the pad is gone, the part may still be replaceable, but the missing connection must be repaired before the board can work. Soldering is not a strength test. Use enough heat to melt the joint, enough patience to release the part, and just enough force to guide it out. When no custom PCB exists, Perfboard is a practical way to build a circuit. It gives you rows of copper pads and the freedom to place components almost anywhere. Cut the board to size, then plan the layout before soldering. Insert the leads, bend them along the route, and tack them with a little solder. For crossing leads, trim one first so the connection stays compact. A small mistake can be corrected with a little fresh solder. You can build a trace by adding solder step by step. If the path needs a corner, let the straight section cool before turning. Otherwise the molten solder piles up and takes more space than necessary. Wire can also act as a jumper. Tin the wire first so it wets quickly, then route it across the board. If it crosses another path without connecting, keep the wires insulated and use the opposite side when needed. Perfboard rewards planning. Keep routes short, avoid accidental bridges, and check continuity before powering the circuit. A clean layout is easier to repair than a crowded one.